to call to order the February 26th meeting of the Oklahoma City Airport Trust. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the January 22nd, 2015 Oklahoma City Airport Trust. What is the desire of the trustees?
Move approval.
We have a motion second. Any discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes. And it is approved. Director's report.
No report this morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Moving on then, Will Rogers.
Thank you. Item A is to approve the agreement with Vasala Incorporated. They're going to be providing some data management related to the runway and taxiway sensors in the amount of $6,500. Item B is approving the certificate of substantial completion for the Southwest 64th Street replacement project and accepting that project as complete. Item C is approving the plans and project manual submitted by Frankfurt Short Bruza Associates for the Flight Standards Building Lighting Replacement Project, authorizing bids to be opened on March 24th. Item D is approving the plans and project manual submitted by Frankfurt Short Bruza Associates for the United Airlines Ticket Build-Out Project, also authorizing advertisement for bids to be open on March 24th. Item E is approving the change order to the construction contract with Dane and Associates Electric Company for the airfield lighting generator replacement project, adding $3,417.43. Item F is approving change order 11 to the construction contract with Manhattan Construction Company for the new rental car facility. We're deducting $274,735.73, adding 50 days. Item G is approving change order number 2 to the contract with TTK Construction Company Incorporated. This is for the FA project to replace the asphalt portions of taxiway C and G with concrete. We're adding 35 days. H is to approve change order number 7 to the construction contract with Terrace Global Incorporated for the checked baggage inspection system project, adding $14,095.69. I is to approve change order number 1 to the construction contract with ResTech Incorporated for the tunnel enhancement project, adding $4,979.90, adding 11 days. J is approving an agreement with Heath Consultants to help us in the maintenance of our natural gas distribution system at Mike Monroney Aeronautical Center for $5,000. K is adopting the resolution authorizing the purchase of fiber optic cable and also installation utilizing the city contract with 5G's Construction Incorporated, estimated budget $400,000. Item L is approving the addendum 1 to the project to re-roof Hangar 1, accept the recommendation on the bids open January 21st, awarding to Lippert Brothers Incorporated for $580,000, approving contract and bonds. Item M is approving or accepting the abrogation and hazard easements. We have 2 of them we're accepting in the vicinity of Will Rogers World Airport. Item N is approving the request for bids for cleaning and janitorial services, advertising bids to be open March 31st. Item O is adopting the resolution requesting the City of Oklahoma City consider repealing Part B of Division 5, Article 2 to Chapter 10. This is the aviation chapter in the municipal code. We're adding various new sections dealing with ground transportation, also public parking. We're also going to be amending Chapter 32, the motor vehicles and traffic section, which will allow for better police enforcement for parking violations. And Chapter 33 is dealing with the specific fines for parking violations. Item P is adopt the resolution approving the operational procedures for all vehicles for hire at the airport, and that's all the items for Will Rogers.
You've heard the items for Will Rogers. What are the desires of the trustees? Your motion is second. Yes, Mr. Couch.
A couple of questions. Can you go into item O a little bit? That's the ordinance recommendation changes related to the network transportation vehicles. And obviously the council spent a lot of time and effort last summer, I guess it was, getting an ordinance in place on that. And I assume, I know you worked with MT and the police department and such as we're going forward. Can you explain in a little more detail what these changes are and how they dovetail with what the ordinance the council passed last summer?
Sure, I'll try, and Jamie can add. She worked a lot on the Chapter 10, actually wrote the Chapter 10 revisions, and you're right, we did work with City Municipal Counselor's Office and Chief Barry on this, and this is all mainly a result of the changes that were in Chapter 56 that are changing some of the vehicle for hire operations with the city in Chapter 56, and we're also incorporating changes in Chapter 10 to facilitate the transport network companies and the transport network vehicles that will ultimately be operating at the airport. As I said, these various sections mainly deal with all of the various modes of ground transportation, the taxi cabs, the shuttles, and it will designate areas where they can park, where they can't park, how they operate. Ancillary to this Chapter 10, we also have operational procedures for all of the vehicles for hire. We're also working with the Transportation Network Company to determine the operating procedures also for that group as well. We have met with all of the companies, the vehicle for hire companies, the taxi cab companies, shuttle companies, and we've also met with Uber. And so far, everybody is on board with the chapter and also with our operating procedures.
Okay, so from a practical standpoint, you take a taxi cab to the airport, they take you right to the the departure gate.
Yes, sir.
The drop-off area, whether it's United Airlines or Southwest or whatever it is.
Yes, sir.
And with Uber and Lyft, now they do the same thing now, and with the changes, they will still be doing the same thing.
Yes.
So they should be dropping them off. So there isn't an issue on departure.
No.
It's from a practical standpoint, it all has to do with arrivals. And so taxi cabs, they queue up, and then they're brought in one at a time for the people in the taxi cabs out of the arrival area. Mm-hmm. And what we're doing now with Uber and Lyft, that they will be having an area where they have to be confined to now, so they won't be in the general congestion that's down there at the arrival.
Actually, they will be. We know that the Ubers want to drop off at the upper level,
right,
just like everybody else, and they will be allowed to do that. We're allowing the Ubers also to pick up in the lower level in the ground transportation baggage claim area as well. They will not be operating in the ground transportation plaza. We don't have enough room for the plaza, so the plaza will be confined to courtesy vehicles, the cabs that we stage, and also the shared ride vehicles that are used there. So, and we're also don't have enough room in the plaza because later on, as you know, we'll be incorporating the new rental car buses to go into that area as well. So Uber will not be able to use the plaza. They won't use the parking garages. They won't use the cell phone waiting lot to tie up public areas, but they will be able to drop off and pick up just as they are today, and we are facilitating those operations, and we'll be able to have them identified at the airport.
If that's the case, and so what's the change that requires an ordinance modification?
Part of it says that they have to have an agreement with the trust in order to operate at the airport. That's for all the other agreements. That's part of the change. Part of the change was also just to clean up the language that was in the ordinances. It was a little bit confusing before as to where people could pick up and drop off and where they could park. And so it just cleaned it up for not only the transportation network companies, but also all vehicles for hire. The Ubers will still, they will, when they pick up their passengers in the departures area, they will be where the regular passenger vehicles are, but they will have their trade dress and be available. They will not be able to dwell on the airport. The congestion area down there is quite heavy, so they will have to exit the airport before they can come back in and pick up.
Okay, so really the only change, the operations will be essentially the same. It's just that Uber and Lyft would be required, or others would be required to have an agreement with the airport trust.
Correct. And it makes clear that they will not, the transportation network vehicles will not be able to dwell or use those areas in the ground transportation plaza.
Okay.
Any further questions? I believe we had a motion and a second. Seeing no more discussion, let's cast our votes. And it is approved. Moving on. General.
We'll do Wiley Post and Clarence E. Page Airport next.
Okay.
Item A is to approve change order number 1 to the contract with Libra Electric Company for the airfield infrastructure repairs and improvement project. We're adding $90,018.44, adding 7 calendar days for the project at Wiley Post Airport. Another project at Wiley Post, item B, is approving the amendment number 3 with Garver LLC. This is for phase 2 of the airfield infrastructure repairs and improvements project, adding $13,500. And Mr. Chairman, for item C, I am requesting that that be moved to the heel of the docket so that we can address that later. So I'm requesting approval at this time for item A and B and moving item C to the end of the docket.
All right, let's take these as two separate motions. Let's first deal with A and B. What are the desires of the trustees?
Approval.
The motion is second. Any discussion? Please cast your votes. And now to move item C to the heel of the docket.
So moved.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Please cast your votes. And it's moved to the heel of the docket. General.
Item A is to receive the delinquent accounts receivable report, construction project status report, and the budget to actual report. Item B is adopting the resolution of the adopting the debt management policy, which has been established by the City of Oklahoma City. Item C is adopting the joint resolution between the Airport Trust and the city. We're submitting again this year grant applications to the Federal Aviation Administration for grant funds under the Airport Improvement Program for two projects, one at Will Rogers World Airport and the other at Wiley Post Airport. Item D is accepting the recommendation on the bids open January 13th for the annual electrical and street lighting repairs and maintenance project, awarding that project to Libra Electric Company for 1 year or not to exceed $300,000, approving contract and bonds. And last item E is adopting the resolution ratifying the action of the director approving three companies, Alva Roofing Company, Dane & Associates Electric Company, and DSR Services, LLC, as specialty contractors under the Diversified Construction of Oklahoma maintenance contract. Those are all the items under general.
You've heard the items under general. What are the desires of the trustees? Motion second. Any discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes. It is so ordered. Moving on to lease and other agreements.
Item A is approving the lease agreement with Douglas and/or Barbara France for the lease of a lot for the construction of a hangar site at Clarence E. Page Airport. Item B is approving the assignment and assumption agreement, assigning the lease agreement between the Trust of Graham Works Enterprises, LLC. This is for the lease of a hangar site for the storage of privately owned aircraft, transferring that to Terry D. Dow effective March 10th. Item C is approving supplement lease agreement number 2 with the Transportation Security Administration. This item allows for the TSA to reimburse the Trust $3,281.64 for improvements we're doing to their leased premises. Item D is approving the service agreement with the Human Animal Link Oklahoma Foundation. They provide various dog teams at Will Rogers World Airport. And item E is approving amendment number 2 to the contract services with YZER Incorporated, doing business as Funnel Design Group, renewing that contract for a 2-year term commencing August the 1st. Those are the items for leases and other agreements.
For the items under leases and other agreements, desire of the trustees.
Approval.
Motion second. Any discussion? Please cast your votes. Item 8.
Request approval for the requisitions, please.
Motion second. Any discussion or questions? Please cast your votes. And it is so done. We are now going to move into executive session. We will return.
Well, we're requesting that.
I move we move into executive session.
I thought we'd already done that. Okay, all right. We have a motion to go to executive session in a second. Discussion. Cast your votes. And now we'll move.
We need a motion to return to open session now. I move we return to open session.
We have a motion to return to open session. Please cast your votes. And we are returning. Mr. Mark.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to go back and request approval for item 5C, approving the consent order with the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please cast your votes. And it is done. We are now at the point for any comments from staff, any comments from the public, any comments from trustees. We have one announcement that we want to make. Today is a very monumental day in the life of our city and in the life of David Greenwell. This is his birthday. So on behalf of the trustees and the citizens of Ward 5, I'd like to wish you a happy birthday, sir. And with that, we're adjourned.